Hello to all my friends gathered for the FAST Act workshop. I think you know I would much rather be there with you in person, but there's just a few things going on in Washington right now, and I'm just honored to join you via video. I'd like to thank the Minnesota Transportation Alliance and the Minnesota Department of Transportation for hosting today's workshop, and acknowledge all of the state and local agencies, transportation organizations, and businesses that are attending today to learn more about the FAST Act. It might be called the FAST Act, but all of you know that this legislation was a long time in coming. In fact, it's the first time in more than a decade we aren't just kicking the transportation funding can down the road, playing red light, green light with your futures. We were long overdue for a long-term bipartisan bill. That's why I was one of the first Democratic senators to support this legislation and was right in the middle of it with Senator Boxer and Senator McConnell in getting more support and getting the bill done. I'm really proud of it. Under the FAST Act, Minnesota will receive more than $4 billion in federal transportation funding over 5 years. Beginning in 2016, our state will see an increase of more than $36 million, and then it goes up every single year. So by 2020, we'll see a $107 million increase. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be more transportation money. I'm still hoping, by the way, that if we work something out with tax reform next year, do something with the international tax rate and create an incentive for the money to come back, that we could push some of that money automatically into an infrastructure bank. But having a floor like this, and it is much bigger than a floor, is really, really great. These investments will give you certainty, and it'll help you to plan ahead, to upgrade our bridges, to build our capacity on our roadways, and bolster our state's transit networks. I fought to include 4 safety and privacy provisions in the FAST Act. The first is on blocked rail crossings. I've spoken with many of you about how trains hold up traffic, sometimes for hours at a time, isolating parts of your communities and delaying emergency vehicles. This provision helps improve safety by ensuring that the U.S. Secretary of Transportation provides tools to states so that they can mitigate safety risks. The second provision is based on bipartisan legislation I introduced with Senator Hoeven of North Dakota to help more states access a federal distracted driving grant program. There was a ton of money, and it was just sitting there, and only Connecticut was getting it. The grant program awards funding to states that are taking steps to curb distracted driving, but overly stringent requirements meant that almost no states qualified. This provision that we got signed into law will help ensure that states like Minnesota can once again access this critical funding for enforcement and public education. The third provision promotes teen driver safety by helping more states qualify for federal graduated driving license incentives grants. Graduated driver license programs have proven effective at reducing the crash risk of new drivers by introducing teens to driving gradually, phasing in full driving privileges over time, and teaching young drivers to eliminate distractions that cause crashes. The final provision that I authored and introduced with Senator Hoeven is to protect driver privacy by making it clear that the owner of a vehicle also owns any information collected by an event data recorder. You know there's good stuff in this bill for Minnesota, and that's because we know all too well the importance of investing in our roads, our bridges, and transportation system. And that's why I'm so glad we're able to finally get this done. As we move to the implementation phase of the FAST Act, let my office know if we can assist you in any way. As you know, General Casalter does a lot of our transportation work. He used to run the 148th Fighter Wing up in Duluth. So, you know, he knows how to get things done too. Ben Hill is our state director. And then also in our Washington office, Danny Carlson, who's been with me for years, does our transportation work. And then Travis, who many of you know because he used to do that work and now is the legislative director, is also very attuned to all these issues. So thank you so much for giving me the chance to talk to you via video. And by the way, if you ever happen to be in Washington on a Thursday when the Senate is in session, please plan to join me at our Minnesota morning. We serve the entire state breakfast for those of you who have come at 8:30 a.m. in my office. Call ahead, make sure we're in session that day. And if you're really lucky, you might visit the day we serve Spam Puffs. Thanks again for all you're doing to move our state forward, quite literally. Enjoy the rest of today's workshop. You deserve it.